Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know I have been MIA for about 2 months. I was going through a little bit of an unstable emotional time. Like I was just really in the clouds, and I needed to take a break. I took a social media break, I took a YouTube break, I took a break from absolutely everything and just really kept for myself, to myself, for my sanity. And I just share these things because it's just the reality. Like, you're not always happy, you're not always 100%, but you have to get back in the game. And I'm definitely got back in the game, and I have a lot of content that I will be bringing to you guys. There's a lot of transitions that will be going on in the next couple of weeks, but today we're going to be talking about, obviously you have already seen the title of this video, and we're gonna talk about the pros and cons of owning a brick and mortar location. I will share today whether I love it, whether I hate it, whether I regret it, the advantages, the disadvantages. If you hear a little puppy snoring, obviously, like if you're if you're familiar with my channel, that's my baby boo Paris. Let's just ignore that. But let's get right into the video. I have my notes here just in case I'm looking down because I want to be organized and I don't want to miss a beat. I want you guys to consider when you are looking to have a formal location for your business, and I'm going to dig into clothing because that's my experience and that's what I can speak on right now. There are a lot of things that come along with owning a physical store. So you have rent, you have utilities, depending on the location that you're in, whether the building's older or newer, that can influence how much you pay in bills, light bill, gas, maybe oil, internet, so on and so on. Employees, depending how many employees you have. I started off with myself. Whenever I get overwhelmed, I will call my mom or I will call a friend of mine, and they help me when I have really busy days or I just really need a break or I'm sick. So they cover for me, thankfully. I'm so thankful for them, but that is something to consider. Employees are a huge expense in a store. You have to consider that you need a POS system. So when you're running an online boutique, the system is much more cheaper than running it in a physical store. So for example, I'm gonna get into this in another video, more details about my POS system, but I use Shopify. I believe my Shopify monthly bill is about $100 or $120 just to run that system. So this system keeps up with my physical inventory and with my online inventory, just so I don't get thrown off. Merchandise. When you have a physical store, you have to worry about keeping up with the merchandise, having the racks full. This is a huge expense because you don't want customers to walk in and your store is empty. So when you have an online store, you target your drops. You target your drops, you target your drops. So when I say you target your drops, I mean, you know, and you can plan out when you're dropping anything, there's nobody physically going into your space to shop because it's online, so you don't have to worry about keeping up with the store. Insurance. A lot of people do not consider this as an expense, and it is an expense that could get pretty pricey. But this will protect your premises, the things that you have in your store. If somebody decides to sue you, you're backed up. So this is a very important detail, insurance, and it can, can get pricey, so you have to add that to your monthly expenses. Cleaning supplies. So obviously we live in a time now, we're in 2022, where there are a lot of things going on in the air, and we have to clean extra much, disinfect, and that's another expense. So hand sanitizer, Clorox wipes, any supplies that you use to constantly disinfect your space, that's another expense. So I just named the main expenses that like came up to my head that I feel like I'm constantly dealing with, but there are things behind that. So those are just things to consider when you want to own a brick and mortar store. I'm gonna dig into the cons. We're in 2022. Things have changed. I am speaking based on my experience. So cons. People love online shopping, which is a pro and a con, but I'm gonna tell you why it's a con right now. They love to online shop so much that they don't really like walking in the store. Or their lives are just so busy that they don't have time to shop and they rather just place an order and have it shipped. This is something you can do just with having an online store. The weather, it influences your days. Like when you're working and there's a bad weather outside, don't expect anyone to walk into your store unless they really, really need something. So basically, online sales could be heavier than your foot traffic. Like I said, this is just individual to myself and I am sharing my story. You're locked down to your store. So basically it's like having a 9 to 5, like when you're self-employed and it's just yourself running the business. At the beginning it could get very, very overwhelming because you have to be at your store all day, every day that you are open, waiting for people to walk in. Yes, you're obviously like managing your stuff, managing your online store, but you're physically here if anyone wants to walk in. So you're stuck here all day. That could be a con because it could get very, very overwhelming and it's gonna give you 9 to 5 vibes. Slow foot traffic, I mentioned that. Obviously depending on what area you're in, maybe you're in a really extremely trafficked area, maybe like a mall, and you'll get amazing foot traffic. I am in a busy city, but people honestly, like in a busy area, like where people are constantly walking, but in my mind, if I'm not specifically looking to shop, I'm not gonna even look at the store. Like I'm not gonna consider it's there. So that can cause slow foot traffic. And considering that customers really want to shop online, they really just come into the store to pick up. I said it earlier, having merchandise in store is a big expense because sometimes you feel the pressure to have a variety of items to please everyone because you have a physical store and people are always coming in and they're like, you should have this, you should have that, you should have that. And sometimes like you feel the pressure to just bring things, and sometimes you bring things that you don't even sell, that are not within your aesthetic, just to try to please everyone. That is a con to me because I want to target what I know sells. And lately I have been doing it. I've been sticking to what works for me. And if you want something out of that, like maybe I'm not the store for you, and that is perfectly fine for me. I'll keep going with what works. I'll still throw things here and there, but that's how I learned to work my store, because I will fill my store with a variety of outfits and things, and at the end of the day, that's not what I sell. So maybe one person wanted it, but how about the majority of my clientele? And I'm just gonna close that with the cons right now, and we're gonna talk about the positive things because not everything is negative. When you have a physical store, you have the availability that you're here all day, obviously, and anybody could just walk in. So if you're like in the streets and you're like, oh my God, like I need an outfit, I need a last minute outfit, I know Cataleya has it, so I'm gonna drop by and I'm gonna purchase an outfit from Cataleya. That is a huge advantage, like to be available for your city. That is super poppin', I love it. But that's a pro for the, you know, for the city. But as a business owner, you have to worry about having employees at all times when maybe it's not worth it, because let's say like one person, 2 people walked in, let's say, and you had an employee all day and the majority of your sales were online. and you compare it to the two people that walked in. Okay, I only had 2 sales by foot traffic for somebody that just thought about it, but the majority of my sales were online. So that's what I mean. This is a huge pro. When you have a physical store, it's easier for people to trust right away in you because they see you as a real store, like she really has a physical business. So they trust you right away to go shop with you. Unfortunately, people don't want to hear that you're working from home. People don't want to hear those things. People only want to hear those things when you're successful, but when you're going through the struggles, people don't want to hear your struggles. People only want to see you and cheer you up when you're in the top. And I lived this myself, and I felt it because I started off from my home office. I started working from my home office, but people instilled more trust in me when I had my physical store. So yes, it has been an amazing advantage to have a store. Do not get me wrong. I took off in my personal experience. Remember, everyone's story is different. I took off when I had my store. But now that I tell you everything that I have explained, I want you to bring it into your own conclusion, and I'm gonna share my conclusion. I recommend starting online and making a steady income before you jump into a store. Why? I did start my store online, and this is why I recommend it. I didn't have a super steady income, but I knew I already had gotten the hang of it. When I wanted to make money, I knew what to do. I had an idea, and I knew I had clientele to support. I had my store for about a year before I went and opened. So this gave me a lot of leverage, because when you just try to open a physical store and you have no background, you're starting from ground zero. And I believe it's easier to have a base before you open a store, because the first months are going to be harder money-wise, maintaining employees, maintaining clothes. You might not get sales. You have to work on your marketing. Rather, from home, you didn't have all of these expenses. You created a platform. You grew online, even if it's not to 1 million followers, but you grew online. You have a foundation. I would recommend you, if that is what you want, to step out and get your physical store. I absolutely love my store. Is this what I want forever? No. Do I regret it? No, absolutely not. I am eternally grateful. And as a self-employed person, it gives me stability. I feel pretty stable having my store, but I feel like I don't need to have a physical store to thrive. Do I plan on having this for a while? I do. For how long? I don't want to share. I don't want to share my future plans because not always people desire the best for you, but only God knows for sure what's in store for me, and He knows what's in my heart, what's in my mind, and what I truly want. And I know things are gonna work in my favor. An advice that I heard from one of my favorite influencers, her name is Jackie. She owns GM Money Boutique, Mood Wholesale. If you follow her YouTube channel, I have been following her for years. She is a huge inspiration, and she said this: you need to crawl before you walk, and you need to walk before you run. I heard this from her, and that hit me really, really hard, because sometimes in life we want to just get to the point, and trust me, I be feeling like this a lot of times, and we need to take a step back and just be grateful. Look at where you're at now, and look at where you were, and see the growth, see the progress that you have given. Believe in yourself. Do not let any negative energy or negative comments bring down your dreams. You follow what you want to do, and do not let anyone get in between that. I followed my dreams. I've done what I wanted to do. as I walk and as I learn the things that I feel comfortable sharing, I will share as much as I can, because this is a learning process and it's not gonna be the same for everyone. Everybody's journey is different, like I said, but everything is possible. So you do what you think is best. I just wanted to share my intake on having a brick and mortar, and what are the advantages and disadvantages. So many blessings. I love you guys. Take care and see you in my next video.